All right, everybody. In this edition of Fit Rockstar, we have with us father, IFBB Pro, professor, author. He does a lot of stuff. Dr. Mark the Shark Smith. Welcome to the studio. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
A long ways. Literally.
Well, I live in Chandler. It's fine.
You do live in Chandler?
Yes, I do.
Oh, so you're right down the street?
Yep. It's about 15 minutes away from here.
Oh, I didn't even know that. I thought it was like Scottsdale or something.
No.
So are you from here? You lived here your whole life?
No, I've been in Arizona for about, how old am I now? Geez. About 16.
21?
No. Well, I wish. But no, 16, 17 years. I'm originally from upstate New York.
New York?
Yeah.
Where?
Rochester, New York.
Oh, my God. Okay, we're going to talk about... How do you say it properly? Rochester?
You say however you want.
No, how's it...
It's just Rochester. There's no, like, funny way of saying it.
Rochester.
No, we don't talk
Rochester.
like that.
Okay, my buddy Bob Chick is from Rochester.
Yes, I heard about him quite a bit when I was growing up there. We trained at the same gym.
Samson's?
No, he used to go to... There was a World's Gym in Rochester, New York that... was ran by the Bovey brothers, and they would always talk about...
The Bogey brothers?
Bovies. Two older Italian guys.
Okay.
And they always talked about Bob. And he'd come in every now and again.
Bob, he loves talking about himself. But the thing about however you say Rochester is you guys have a mecca of bodybuilders there.
I guess.
There's a lot of good people that came out of there.
Yeah, I mean, I run into a lot more out and about, like when when I travel to like Cali or Las Vegas or here, like there's a lot of people that are from there. I always figured we were like a smaller city that we don't all like to talk about, but apparently we're there.
Who's better, New York City or the Rochester people? Because there's like a little battle between those two. Like,
well, I mean, I don't have I'm not like, I guess I'm not a true blue like Rochester do and die kind of person.
Yeah.
So New York, I'm sure the city people are much more...
You ever had a garbage plate?
Yes.
What is it? Garbage on a plate?
That's what it sounds like.
Right.
And kind of. But it's pretty much what you do at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning when you've been out and about. And it's typically a plate full of either macaroni salad, potato salad, French fries, home fries. You make your choices. And then it's either going to be red hots, white hots, which are two different types of hot dogs. Okay. And or hamburgers or cheeseburgers, or you get the breakfast one. But it's all just mashed on top of a plate. Like all of it's set on the base, and then the meat goes on the top, and then they just serve it to you with hot sauce.
Wow.
Garbage plate.
That sounds really delicious.
It can be.
I bet it is. I've been to Rochester a few times because I went to the Susan B. Anthony memorial over there.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I'll have to try it. And then take a lot of Pepto-Bismol like afterwards. But
yes, it's very greasy.
Yeah, and as a bodybuilder, as you know, because you obviously work out, being an IFBB Pro bodybuilder yourself.
Yes.
And you look great.
Oh, thank you.
I love you have big guns. How did you get the nickname The Shark?
It's not as like wonderful of a nickname. I mean, wonderful of a story as you think. But I, during my middle school and high school years, I played lacrosse and football. So in lacrosse, I kind of used to wear my mouthpiece like in the helmet so it'd stick up a little bit. And my name rhymed with shark, and I kind of liked it. So I remember one of my teammates at the time called me Mark the Shark, and I was like, that name sounds kind of cool. So I just kind of ran with it. And at that time, I wanted to be a professional wrestler. That was my dream.
Wow.
And so I even like trained for it briefly in Rochester for a little while when I was like 16.
What was your wrestling name going to be?
It was going to be Mark the Shark.
Mark the Shark.
Yeah. And so I had like a whole theme to go with it. I had a logo made.
Wow.
And I still have that logo to this day. And so that was and it just kind of stuck. And then so I've always just kind of gone by it. And then it's just kind of been with me the whole time.
I like it. When I saw that, I was like, Mark the Shark.
Yes.
Badass.
Yeah, so I just kind of adopted it and gone with it. My daughter, she's 6. She loves sharks, everything.
She's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, so let me ask you this with the wrestling thing. So what happened? You didn't pursue it, or?
Well, I played around with it. I never got to do any matches or anything, so I was too young to do it. And then I just kind of got told that with my height, and because I'm only 5'5", and so
I'm 5'5".
I know. Well, for female wrestlers, that's probably perfectly fine. But for male wrestlers at that time, that was during like the Attitude Era with The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin and Mankind and all the people that I used to like love watching to wrestle. They're 6-something, like very large men. And so I got told if I wasn't going to be a flyer like a Rey Mysterio or somebody that's going to jump around and do acrobatics, which I will not do that. I can't do that. That I really wouldn't have much of a future in it. So I just kind of I just kept it a pipe dream, and then just kind of stuck with what I liked doing, which was lifting weights and playing sports.
What was your favorite wrestler at the time?
Oh, that's a tough question. It'd have to be The Rock, like hands down.
With the Rock?
Yeah,
He's great.
His persona, and I would watch wrestling since I was like a youngster, so I loved like Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, came up through all those.
Ultimate Warrior is my dude.
Yes, I loved Ultimate Warrior, but during the Attitude Era when I was in high school, like The Rock won my vote for everything.
I like when The Rock had Rikishi bent over and McMahon had to kiss his ass.
Yep, I remember that.
That was the best. He's just like, whoa, that's a big... Anyway, so you have multiple degrees.
Yes.
6? 4. And what are they in?
Okay, so my bachelor's is in business management. My first master's is a master's in business administration, a traditional MBA. My second one is a master's of science in leadership, and then I have a doctoral in organizational leadership.
Wow. Jeez, that is very impressive.
Oh, thank you.
Very impressive. And you teach, you're a professor, and also you do you're a program chair.
Yes.
At where?
University of Advancing Technology in Tempe, Arizona.
So that's a big engineering, like it's a private school, obviously,
yes.
Engineering, robotics, things like that.
Yeah, we're a big gaming, network security, and that's our main fortes, is that portion of it.
Wow. That is pretty cool.
Thank you.
And how long have you been doing that for?
It's been a little over 7 years now.
And you oversee all the programs and stuff?
Yes. So I'm program chair of all the business programs, which I have 4. I have business technology, digital marketing, advertising art, and then digital maker and fabrication. And then the graduate studies, I encompass that entire program as well.
Wow. You are so impressive.
Oh, you're so sweet.
So you're also a trainer over at Diesel Muscle?
That's correct. I do...
Robert Farrell?
Yep. I do some part-time work for Robert.
Are you a hardcore trainer? Are you like one of these like...
No, like when I came to Robert after I turned professional, because I told him that I was thinking about doing it part-time again, because I was a personal trainer a long, long time ago. When I was like 17, 18 years old, when I was still like figuring out college. And so I told him that I'd like to do it, and especially because I had my mindset was I was going to turn pro in 2020. So, and I did. Like I knew that would be a selling point along with my training style. And so I told him, no, I'm going to handpick my clients. I prefer only male clients, if that's okay. It's not that I won't train females.
Why only males? I have to ask that.
Well, it's all right. So I'm not typically, from my experience, when I was much younger. Yeah, when I was much younger, when I had like regular people type clients. Sure. It's not anything against women in general.
You're not going to insult. Go ahead.
No, it's not anything. But it's just that as far as when it comes down to like the dieting and actually understanding your guys' physiques as far as how they build, I'm not that good at it. I've tried my hand at training some females when leading them into shows. I just don't know what I'm doing, and it doesn't seem to work really well for me. So I just kind of stick to what I know and I'm good at.
You just won my respect even more, because there's a lot of coaches, as you know, who have no idea about women's bodies and have taken these women and messed them up.
Yeah.
So at least you're honest. And listen, we are the most complicated by far, I think. I mean, I hear men are complicated too, but I think with dieting, we have the most issues because we have the reproductive system, all that other kind of hormones. So no, I have a lot of respect for you, and that's good. You're just being honest. And
yeah, I don't want to pretend that I can do something.
But I'm insulted.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because I wanted to train with you. And now.
No, well, actually, like direct workouts, like, because I know most of my clients I do a lot of consulting, and then I have a handful of like face-to-face clients. So like taking people through workouts, I'm happy to do at any gender. When it comes to like the actual like, and basic diets I can handle, but when it comes to like show training type style, like getting a girl ready for figure or for wellness or for any of the categories, I just don't feel comfortable doing it.
No,
so
I totally understand.
I typically will hand them to my counterpart, Doug Lang or Trish over there, because they're better suited for that than I would be.
What made you want to do bodybuilding?
Well, I was a power lifter in high school, and I watched Pumping Iron like most of us do. And I found my inspiration was Franco Columbu. I
love Franco.
I've never been a fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger's physique, and still not. And I don't understand the transcendence that people love his physique for some reason. Because I point out all the flaws, and I thought Franco was a much better bodybuilder at the time, more compact, more complete, more muscularity. But he inspired me. Not to mention that I'm half Italian, so it just yeah. So half my I'm 50% Sicilian, so
I'm 50% Sicilian. My family's from Palermo.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, my dad's side. Sorry.
Yes, no, but but anyway, he inspired me. He was strong, and he was also a strong man. So I was a strong teenager, and I was always been a kind of like a musclehead at heart. And so he inspired me to try to do my first show. So I gave it a try in the natural circuit when I was like 18 years old. Did terribly. I was awful at it. Didn't really know what I was doing. Had a coach that didn't really know what he was doing. And I got a bad taste in my mouth. Tried it again when I first moved out here. Did a little bit better. And then when I was in my early 20s, I started getting a little bit more serious at wanting to become professional. My biggest inspirations were Jay Cutler and Branch Warren. Those are my two favorite bodybuilders of all time.
When I saw you walk in, I immediately saw Branch Warren.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's a very huge compliment.
Well, you have this build like Branch with the shoulders. You got that rugged look too, like I'm gonna kick somebody's ass. And he's not a tall guy either.
No,
he's built.
Yeah, so he was a huge inspiration. Yeah. And then meeting Jay on a handful of occasions, probably the best ambassador of the sport that's ever walked the face of the earth. And so those guys got me into it. And then in my early 20s, I was like, I think I can make a run to turn pro at this. So I got submerged into it, and I started really taking it more serious with the dieting and the supplementation and everything that went into it. And it took me a long time. I mean, I'm 37 now, but... So
you are just a baby.
Oh, that's what. Yeah, I don't feel that way, but
you have a baby face. Okay, listen to me as I tell you this.
Oh, you're so sweet.
And I'm not just saying this because we're on camera. So you turned pro last year.
Yes, in 2020.
What show?
Masters Nationals.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
For you. What class? I know bodybuilding. Which?
I was light heavyweight.
Light heavyweight. Okay, I thought you'd be a heavyweight.
I typically do compete at heavy, but for that specific show, my coach and my coach is John Jewett.
I was going to get into that.
Yeah,
about your relationship with
him. I won the Masters USA's the year prior as a heavyweight, but the overall would take the card, and the super heavy won the show. Mm-hmm. I was a little upset about that, as anybody would be. But when we went into this show, like I was teetering around, my stage weight's typically around 206 to 207. And so I was tailing a little lower than I typically do. I was running around 202, 201. And so he said, we're going to pull you down just to make sure we can win that class because no one's going to be bigger than you. And I was like, okay. So we cut a little bit harder, just the last portion of it, instead of leading in with carbs like we typically do. And I made weight and turned pro. So I don't think I'll ever make that weight ever again, but I just did it for that day.
People always ask how I got here. I was willing to work just a little harder than everyone else. Every damn day. If I can have hundreds of hours back, I'm gonna grab them. Spending hours prepping chicken, rice, and vegetables, F that. I rely on perfect nutrition. I rely on trifecta.
What's your plans now? Are you going to do a show next year?
Yeah, so it was funny because the minute I turned professional, I cried first. Did
you cry?
Yes.
On stage?
No, in the backstage. No.
What did your daughter do? Was she
there? Wasn't there with me at the time. Okay. That's a more complicated story. Sure. But I was in a custody fight at the time. But as far as like I got off stage and like the green room area that we were in was completely empty at that time because it was just us overall people. And so I broke down and cried for a little bit, and I took a picture and I sent my messages because everyone was kind of wondering what I was up to. And I got probably like well over like 300 to 400 responses, which was fantastic and quite amazing to know that many people even like bothered to care. Wow. But then
it's very touching. I mean, you won your pro card. You worked hard for it. It's a big victory because this is what you wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked for it for a very long time, and so it was fantastic. And then Kenny Wallace, my posing coach, was there.
Hey, Kenny, that's my boy.
Yeah, was there, and so he gave me
jumping up and down and clapping and screaming.
He was very easy to see on stage. Yes,
yeah.
And he gave me a big hug afterwards. And then, I went to dinner with some acquaintances that I knew in that area, and then that was the end of it. I cried a bit for that.
That is so touching. It's very rare to hear a guy cry.
I don't do it very often.
So you're a buff muscle guy with intelligence.
Yes.
And I want to point out, and we'll go back to the bodybuilding, but
yes, sorry, segue
I do want to you're an author, so I like the title of this. How Not to Suck at Leadership, the Handbook of Leading. What made you decide to write a book? What was your inspiration?
I've been wanting to do it for quite some time. Through my I've worked in corporate America for a very long time before I was had the pleasure of becoming a professor. And so I got to see a lot of what I was taught, not followed a lot. And so I would see like these and everyone I poll or talk to that's high up in different corporate Americas or in different chains has the same mentality that leadership in general is not in abundance. It's a very rare thing. Anybody that's all of us have had jobs at some point in time. And if you poll us and ask us what great leaders we've had, we might know we might have one experience of a decent leader that we had in our lives. And that just sucks, with all honesty. And it's not hard to be a good leader. It's just being a good person and following very basic steps. I think a lot of times people just kind of lose themselves in the ego and the titles and all the bullshit that goes with it. And they start forgetting why they're in that position in the first place, and that the people below them are what is important and not their business card. So I sat down, and in about a few months, I just went writing nonstop because I don't like to, come back to it and change it up, and because I'll lose my train of thought. And I just finished it. And then I had it edited, published it, and then I put it in circulation. And so far, everyone that's read it likes it.
So how long of time did it take you to put this? This is really nice. This is a really good book.
It's an encompass of probably my 20 years of seeing things. But as far as like the actual writings piece of it, it was probably like a solid 3 months of me just putting things to paper.
And then the publishing part, did that take some time, or?
No, I just, I had interest in it to do it, and then I just pretty much self-published it on Amazon, and then it's pretty easy to do.
Very cool. That's great.
Yeah.
Are you going to do another book sometime?
I do have another one on there. It's called The Locomotive Principle. It's only like 10 or 12 pages. So
what is this one about?
This one's all about motivation. And so I had the Locomotive Principle is something I developed in my early 20s, which was when people would ask me like how I stay motivated to like compete, or how do I like maintain everything that I do and also, finish out competing and do shows and degrees and all this other stuff. And I said, well, I look at every day leading into the next. Like there's a train builds up its momentum in the front end and then is unstoppable when it's at top speed. And that's how our prep and training mentality has to be. Like everything I do today is what's going to affect me on stage in the next 6 months. Like, so I can't take a day off. I can't like take things lightly, because especially in prep, every day builds into it. So when you get to your final week, there's no tweaks or changes or adjustments. You're where you need to be and nothing's going to stop you. And so the same thing goes with everything. It's like you treat every day of being perfect, and then you don't have to worry about it in the end.
Mm-hmm. So you take no days off when you're training? Rest days?
I do now. It's funny you say that, because when I first started working with John about 2.5 years ago, I didn't. I was training 7 days a week just because I felt weird about not going to the gym. I do that
now.
I feel weird not going.
Right.
But he recommended it and said I was doing too much. And so we started scaling it back, and it seemed to work better. And I've started to like it.
I would train twice a day. I'd get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, train, and then I'd train in the afternoon. And people are like, why do you train so much? Because I can, because I love it.
Yeah.
Duh. What are you doing tonight? Training? Going to the gym, That's my thing. But so you work with John Jewett. Most people don't know. IFBB Pro, phenomenal conditioning. This is like the master of conditioning.
Yes.
How did you guys establish that relationship? How did you meet John?
It's funny. Like my ex-wife at the time, one of her acquaintances he was coaching, and so I was searching for a coach because my friend Scott Turner was helping me out, who's a local pro here. And so, but I wanted somebody that I wanted to kick it up a notch, because Scotty was doing it on his side, and he was doing it as a favor as a friend. He wasn't, very knowledgeable. Used to work with Shelby Starnes, but I wanted somebody that was going to be a little bit more meticulous. And so, knowing John's mentality, I thought it'd be a good match. And so I asked my ex-wife to reach out to her acquaintance, and then we established a connection over the Olympia where he took fourth. And I still never physically have met him in person. I'm looking forward to that.
You haven't?
I have not. We've talked over the phone. We've exchanged many emails and messaging over the past years, but I'm surprised. I am too. But
wait a minute, you didn't go to the Olympia this year?
I didn't. I did not.
What is your problem?
It was in Florida, and I didn't feel like going back.
Oh my gosh!
I typically go every year because it's in Vegas. It's an easy trip.
Yeah.
But
it's coming back to Vegas. So.
Yes. So, but I reached out, and he responded that he would like to. So I sent him the money he needed for that to get set up. I sent him he sends an entire 30, 40 page packet you have to fill out with blood work and all sorts of other stuff he wants to know. Yes, he's very meticulous. It's what I need. And we've been working together ever since. The first prep was Masters USA's, where I won the heavyweight, and then we trained all of the following year to win the Masters Nationals, and he'll be helping me leading into my, I'm deciding to do the Indy Pro in May.
That is a great show. I was just actually talking about that earlier because I was going to compete in that show.
Nice.
No, not nice now because now I'm working the show. So
Oh.
they'd rather me work it than compete in it. But Indy Pro would be great for you. Absolutely. So it's always a good competition. So that's the definite yes, you're going to do that
Yeah,
show?
if I say I'm going to do it, I do it. Like, there's no, like...
There's no...
No.
You're full speed ahead.
Yes.
Focus.
If it comes out of my mouth, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm a man of my word.
I like that about you. You're so awesome, Mark DeSharp.
Oh, thank you. So sweet.
So let's talk about motivation. You know, in our bodybuilding community, there's a lot of people who depressed and it's hard with prep and things like that. I know leadership, like how do you apply the leadership skills to, say, getting ready for a show?
I mean, I don't know if it's so much like leadership specifically of just having your own personal motivations.
The mindset. How would you set a successful, positive mindset for a show? Like, how do people, what would you say to somebody who's like, oh, Mark, I'm so tired. I just don't feel like it. I'm just, they're just so negative.
I would say like they're going to have a deep-seated conversation with themselves about their own motivation of why they want to do it. Because what I've seen in our industry is a lot of people losing themselves in the prep and the show and kind of like in the physique, so to speak. They start losing their identity. And
Yes.
I talk about this a lot, especially because I'm not old, but I'm not young. So I've seen a lot. And like I've seen a lot of the younger bodybuilders in our community have really great success, and then they just kind of have like mental breakdowns or just can't hold it together.
Why do you
anymore.
think that is?
I think it's personally, it's just mental strength of not being able to identify themselves as individuals outside of the sport. I think a lot of times if we're not anchored in something else besides bodybuilding, we start to lose our own identity in the sport. And that's a lot of pressure, and it's not who you are, because it's sad to say, but in bodybuilding and the fitness community, we all have expiration dates. Like, this isn't a forever thing.
It's not?
No, sorry. We all can't
You
be
just shattered me, Mark. What the hell?
We all can't be Dexter Jackson. But
Yeah, I know, right?
or Kamal, competing into the 50s.
I love Kamal,
But no, like, we all are at some point in time going to have to kind of step away, and we're not going to be recognized for our physiques anymore.
Yeah.
And so the people, like the younger individuals that have success, I've seen a pattern of them kind of having, and not so much mental illness, but having mental breakdowns of identity crises. And so they forget that they need to have like careers or like family, like other things outside of bodybuilding that keeps their, I guess, sense of worth. Because when the social media kind of goes away, which isn't real, and the kind of like glamour that comes with your physique and how you look more than who you are kind of fades away, who are you? Like, are you happy with that? And so if you can't face that, or you don't have a grounded foundation in it, you can easily get depressed and easily go down dark roads. And if you don't have a good support system around you, it's not going to be a good thing. And so I think that's what kind of draws people into that depressed mode, is they start to lose their identity. And with social media being so kind of fake, and people always like putting on a persona.
Filters?
Yeah, filters, persona. You just show like the good in your life type situation, and
Or pretend?
Yeah, and it can weigh on you. And then when that attention isn't real, and if you can't read past that, it sucks.
Well, I want to go into a athlete. I'll mention this, for example, Keon Pearson. Okay, you know Keon.
Yes.
Yeah. So he was going to compete at the Olympia last year. Of course, things happened, and then he decided not to, which I wish to God he would have competed. This kid is phenomenal physique. And, I think it goes to that, too, where you have the outside stuff going on, and then you let it affect the bodybuilding, which we see a lot of, like especially the last few days of a contest, as you know. People do the self-sabotage. I'm not good enough. Why am I here? Oh, my God, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do we get out of that?
I think that's having like a solid coach and a good foundation of people kind of talking you out of there. Because I know for me, the biggest thing for me having a coach, because I was very stubborn in my 20s, thinking that if I don't know how to do something, then nobody does. And it took me a long time to reach out and ask for help. And so when I like having John, I like having a good-minded coach leading in, because my affinity or my kind of like curse is that I will overtrain the shit out of myself the last like few weeks, because I feel like, that Rocky mentality of like, if I work harder, I will look better.
Yes.
And that's not always the mentality. So a lot of times I'll get pulled back my last week, which is not typical of like my mindset, because I like to go full steam nonstop. And there's nothing I won't do to become like to be at my best.
So John has kind of kept you back with like especially the resting.
Yeah, the rest days, feeding me more. Like I used to do.
You
like,
restricted your food.
Well, I used to do the stupidity of like cutting all my carbohydrates and thinking that was going to work.
You're a big guy. You don't need to be cutting that.
No, I know now. But yeah, you think that's what you're supposed to do, doing 3 hours of cardio a day. Like just, I would dwindle my legs down to nothing, which didn't make sense.
You did 3 hours of cardio?
There was times I did. Yeah, I haven't done it in quite some time.
How did you even have the energy for that?
It's not energy. It's just like your
mindset.
Yeah, I just tell myself it has to be done, because like when people ask me about show preps, and I'd say it's mental toughness. Like your prep doesn't care if you're sick. Your prep doesn't care if you've had a bad day.
That is so true.
You just have to do it. Like I have a multitude of meals and training I have to get done, and no matter how or when it does. And I have a relaxed schedule now because I've earned that right, but. I mean, not everybody gets that privilege. So like when I was working, 10, 12 hours a day, like I still would train either late at night or, early into the morning. I figure out how to do it.
I like how you said the prep doesn't care about. Or
no.
That is so funny. Yeah, you're right. But, nobody really thinks about it like that. I like how you analyze it. So I want to go into your prep for a second, because
sure.
you've got my curiosity. So you're prepping. What's going through your mind when you're doing cardio, when you're training? Are you like, I'm going to win this show. I'm going to... what is your mindset?
Sure. When it's doing cardio, I try just to watch movies and try to drone it out.
Yeah.
When people say they listen to music, I can't listen to music for like 45 minutes straight.
People make fun of me when I watch movies during cardio.
Why? It's much better.
Because they say that, you're not working hard enough because you're watching a movie. You got time to watch a movie. You should be busting your ass in that cardio thing. I'm bored.
Yeah. What kind of cardio they're doing? Like I walk in an incline for like.
Oh, you do walking? Is that what you do?
Yeah, I don't use I don't need stair climbing, because I have the benefit of like my legs and hamstrings come in first. Like
you do have big legs.
Thank you.
Yes.
Like my legs and hamstrings stay lean almost all year round. It's mostly just pulling.
It's okay to brag.
Pulling the fat off my back at the last moments. We all have I have buddies that always have fat legs, and then they have like. Great chest and back, and right. I carry most of my weight in my back, so I always have to worry. But anyway, I like to watch movies, and
What do you watch?
It depends, like my mood. I like actiony stuff or something that's going to keep me engaged. If it's too slow, then you start to realize that you're doing cardio and you don't want to do it anymore. So I remember one of my preps, I watched like all the Game of Thrones, or
that's always good with the episodes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially if you could chain watch it, it's way better.
If you're doing 3 hours of cardio, I've done that where it's like I got my stuff set.
Yeah, and there's times that I've done more cardio just because I didn't want to like finish in the middle of an episode. And then I remember watching the Watchmen series, or pretty much if you can find a series of shows, it's really good. Otherwise, like this last prep, I watched probably Creed 2 the most out of all the movies.
I've not seen that.
Yeah. You haven't?
I need to see it.
Yes, you do. And I would watch pretty much just like the last kind of like hour of it, just because that's like the most inspirational scene there is.
Okay. I watch horror movies when I do cardio.
Interesting.
I know, it's like people's heads exploding and somebody's next to me.
Well, I guess it draws you. I mean, it keeps you engaged. That's the biggest thing.
I want to know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Is he going to open up the door? The guy's there. I just want to know.
And then as far as like weight training goes, I have a philosophy of keeping a kind of like steady mindset. Like when I did my powerlifting days, it was about getting really amped up to do like one lift. But I've realized today that I keep like a very relaxed kind of mentality. Like my old training partner, who is also a professor, we used to just like bullshit and make jokes and start laughing. And so it was more like I keep it loose because, and people sometimes didn't understand that mindset, but I'd say like my old training style was very heavy. Like I'm talking about like doing 4 or 5 inclines for 20 or 12 reps, 500-pound benches. I don't do any of that anymore because it doesn't work for me. But I say like if you have that much weight underneath you, you can't be all tense. You're going to tear something. You need to be kind of relaxed and comfortable. So I always keep kind of like a loose, relaxed mentality, but it's consistent pace and it's hard. But I don't get all ramped up or amped up or screaming or anything of that nature.
It'd be like people hitting each other. You ever see the smacking before they do the heavy weight, or they're screaming, ah. Or like guys on stage who are screaming before they hit the pose and just go into the pose. So that's interesting to just keep it nice and loose.
Yes.
Not serious.
No, I don't like to be super serious with my training or anything in life, really.
At the beginning, when I started, I was very serious. Like I would listen to hardcore music.
As most of us.
Put my hood up, and lift heavy. Nobody better talk to me because they're going to get their head bit off if they do. And then over time, I'm like you, where it's like I kind of chilled down.
Yes.
A little bit.
But it doesn't sell as well. So we still have to put on a persona of watching. Because I used to watch Branch Warren's workout videos all the time, and then learning that it's kind of like that a lot, like a good amount of time, but he's not always like that.
You ever met Branch?
I have not had the privilege of meeting Branch. I know.
I want you to sometime on your bucket list meet Branch, get a picture with him, because you do remind me of Branch.
Will do.
Absolutely. And I wanted to ask, does the mindset affect muscle growth?
I agree. I think it does. I mean, I'm not sure about the science behind it to back that, but I feel like if you're not all stressed, or if you keep like a relaxed kind of mindset, you know, just naturally you're going to have less stress, less tearing, healing will go easier. Like your digestion is going to be smoother. Where our hormones affect so much, and if you're amped up or all crazy all the time, it's not going to work well.
You got me thinking of guys like rah, screaming like. So they say that muscular men are naturally born leaders. What do you think of that?
I would not,
because you see the muscles, so you think they're a leader. You don't agree with that?
Well, no. Like being in the fitness community as long as I have been, no, I wouldn't agree with that. But no, I think it's a mindset of, because I think I instill in my students, and when I talk to about leadership, it starts with humility and caring for another individual. It's not about being this fake alpha or this kind of like personality that people kind of aspire to. That's a visionary, and that's superficial. And if you can harmonize that with your care and humility with people, then you become a very, very dangerous leader. But a lot of people just get by with their vision or their inspiration or their charisma. And that isn't going to work over long periods of time. Some people are going to see through it, and you're also not being genuine, and people are going to read that. So just using your persona to try to elicit responses and be like a Tony Robbins, it's not going to work.
Tony Robbins.
Well, and Tony, I never met Tony. I've never been to one of his seminars, but people that have gone to him say that he actually has a care for the people that he works with. And that's probably why he's been in business so long. I mean, granted, he's a gazillionaire now, but yeah, so charisma and vision, it will get you so far. I mean, that's like I joke and say like Steve Jobs is the Edison of our generation, because everyone looked at him as such a fantastic leader, but he wasn't. Yeah. He was a terrible leader. Yes, he was a tyrant, and he took credit for a lot of other people's
Didn't
work.
he change cars like every month?
I don't know all the nuances of the movies or what he was affinity to, but I know that his research and design team was separate from the entire company, and he was up their asses every day about getting it done. And then when they wanted to present the iPods and the other cool stuff, it was just him with his sneakers on stage. So,
yeah, no, you're right.
Look what I made. No, you didn't.
Somebody else did.
Yes, somebody else did.
So that goes into my next question. The difference between a leader and a boss. I want to be a leader, but I have friends who say, I want to be the boss. Mm-hmm. What's the difference? There's a big difference.
There's a big difference. Leaders don't need a title. Leaders are those individuals that you just kind of aspire to hang out with and be around, and you actively want to work for. They ask you to do something, you do it because you knew they would do it for you as well. They're the ones that'll sacrifice for you. Bosses are people that chase titles, salaries, and stature. That's why I, like in my classroom, and I don't make my students address me Dr. Smith or Professor. They can call me Mark. I joke and say, if I don't like you, I'll make you address me as Dr. Smith. But am I going to
get in trouble for not addressing you as Dr. Mark?
Absolutely not. Okay. Absolutely not. As far as it's those individuals that are like, look, I'm a CEO, or I'm this, and I joke and I always say like, yeah, your bullshit title. Like I can start my own company. I have my own LLC, so technically I can call myself a CEO, but that doesn't make me any better of an individual. And so that's the difference. Bosses chase titles, and it's more like in it for them. It's more of a selfish kind of play of like, look who I am.
I totally agree. And then when I hear the boss, I'm like, you nasty. They don't have personality. They're just all about themselves.
No, and they're focused more on what they're taught, which is number-based and performance. They don't look at the individual. So we get into this reciprocating cycle of where people are looked at as a resource as opposed to human beings. And so, laying people off or firing people, they don't care that they're an individual. They just look at them as a number that performs or produces. And that's kind of why most corporate America sucks, and why people change jobs every 3 to 5 years. And the attrition rates are atrocious, is because no one puts any emphasis into their employees anymore.
This is why I love the owner of the Olympian Wings of Strength, Jake Wood, because he's a leader. We have a great team, and he's always helping everybody and doing his thing. He never wants to be put on the spot, but I just had to throw that in there. But
Well, no, I'm very happy they brought back women's bodybuilding, and Wings of Strength did that. Like I was, it was sad to see the Miss Olympia go away.
You diet down, train hard, and supplement smart for months. When the time comes to step on stage, don't leave your tan to chance. Go with the pros. Pro Tan. #1 worldwide since 1987 and the official sponsor of the Olympia for the last 15 years. Don't step on stage without it. Pro Tan.
And I didn't understand why. Like, I mean, from a business standpoint, I can understand them trying to like discontinue something that wasn't marketable. But you guys have an audience, and you have. I never understood.
some
it.
people thought we didn't have an audience. That's why they took it away.
I think that's a very ignorant way of looking at it.
And the other thing was there was a Sports Illustrated article that a guy, I guess it was at the Arnold, wrote a nasty article about women's bodybuilding. Because of that, Arnold himself was like, we're done. So then eventually went that the Miss Olympia went away as well.
Yeah, and
So-
that's probably like my mindset of like I think that the older generation of bodybuilders should stay in
Out?
their not out, but they stay on the sideline and be who they are. Like I joke because I get kind of enthralled when I see those little BS arguments about like the classic golden era bodybuilding, golden I put in quotes, compared to the guys nowadays. And I'm saying it's different eras. That's be like comparing the NFL or NBA.
You can't compare the two.
No, and if you want to be brutally honest, the people of nowadays would destroy the athletes of the past. I don't care how talented they
Well, I
think
like when
are.
they do Big Ramy versus, let's say, Franco Colombo.
It'd be an interesting comparison.
It would be, but still, it's not. Or Chris Bumstead versus Arnold.
Well, Bumstead's way better, but
Yeah, well, you know how it's just stupid.
and it's also different standards of the day. Like in the 70s, Arnold got away with not having hamstrings and glutes and being like more bubbly and not as conditioned. They also didn't know what they were doing as much. Like it's gotten a lot more scientific and it's advances just like every sport. And so, and also pro bodybuilders quit before they were 30. Like that's not to happen now. Like we all compete into our 40s.
You know a lot about the history of bodybuilding.
I do. I've been a fan for a very long
So
time.
who was your inspiration?
Like I said, Franco Colombo was my
Franco,
key.
just Franco.
Franco was the key guy that got me into
The
it.
key guy.
And then
Did you ever meet him?
I sadly didn't get a chance to meet him.
Did you read
before
any
he
of his
passed.
books?
No.
Okay. You watch his videos, obviously?
Yes.
Did you see his muscular development interview?
Yes, I did. And I've seen some of his movies.
He's so funny. I love Franco, and I was very sad when he passed away.
Yes.
Yeah, he was one of those good people, genuine, very genuine. When you see, and he's Italian.
Yes, he is. Yes, he's very Italian.
Let me ask you this question going into the business. How can bodybuilding improve people to becoming a successful entrepreneur?
Ooh. Well,
Did I get you in this?
no, it's a good question. I wasn't prepared for that, but that's okay. As far as because it's our mentality, it always goes back to what I take away from just my training and bodybuilding in general is the discipline and the mental fortitude to pretty much set your mindset to a goal and accomplish it. What we have that a lot of people don't is we have that tenacity to kind of work through anything to finish out what we start. I've met a lot of procrastinators and people that'll say they'll do stuff and then they just don't do things.
What do you think of those people when you meet them? You just know they're...
There's two things I feel about them. One, it could just be a mental flaw that they're going to have to eventually overcome, or two, they're just narcissistic and they're never going to become better, which is sad, but that's just their own demons they have to deal with. But I believe that makes us equipped to do almost anything. So when it comes to entrepreneurship, which is just a lunatic mindset of tenacity to be successful. I have a lot of entrepreneur friends that have been successful. I myself don't want to go down that path just because I don't feel like I could put myself submersed into that type of mindset. Side consulting and things like that are cool, but I don't feel like I'd start a giant empire anytime soon. But no, it's a mindset. And I think that us having that acute ability to kind of hone in and focus and kind of let all the background noise kind of drone out, and no matter what comes in our way are just kind of pushing through, it makes us very equipped to handle that.
I always think of Lee Labrada when he, Labrada and of course Gaspari and these guys, man. It's crazy, but I think bodybuilding helps build tools to get through like the normal life, don't you think? Like as far as the discipline, the dedication, and all that kind of stuff.
That and like if they've been super successful in our sport, they've developed a lot of social networks that'll help them in the long run because no one's self-made. Everyone's going to have help and ask for guidance.
Some don't want. Yeah, they don't want to though.
Well, then they will be limited.
They will be very limited. What do you think about people who are negative and toxic in our bodybuilding world?
I kind of,
there's always that one that's just,
yeah, I know. I kind of feel, I mean, I don't want to, I feel kind of sorry for them because I feel like they've gotten there on their own accord, but that they don't have a way of leading themselves out. And like I said, if they can't identify or have that grounded kind of good foundation around them, they're never going to get out of that hole, which is just terrible to see. And if you don't, and you trying to go out of your way and make it better for them doesn't always work either. A lot of people have to just figure it out for themselves. I mean, I've wasted a lot of years of my life trying to make somebody want to be successful or want to be better. And if they don't have it, they just don't. And at some point you have to kind of just let them figure it out on their own.
So you've wasted years trying to help people?
Yes.
I mean, why did you keep on going? Why did you keep on?
Well,
if I may ask.
those specific individuals are very close to me, so
Sure.
you don't want to give up on them. And when they're an ingrained part of your life, it's very hard to kind of
Sure.
not want to.
I can relate. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
Because we stick and we keep on and we keep on, and it's still not doing anything. And it's
No,
like,
and I hope that I used to hope that like my own kind of ability to just kind of keep pushing through and successfully complete things would be kind of an inspiration, and they follow suit, which some people do, but a lot of times they just don't. And I tell people to watch for those signs because they'll invest a lot of time and energy into these individuals, and they're never going to really get anything out of it, and no one's going to benefit either way. You're going to be upset because it's not working out, and you feel like you're failing them. And they're not going to be happy because they're still battling their own demons. And so, it's just.
When you decide, though, to take that, you know what, I'm done. Like, I can't help you.
It's
hard.
It's hard, especially when they're really close to you. Sometimes, like, I was fortunate that some of them kind of forced their way out of my life on their own. But a lot of times you just have to kind of cut the cord or just kind of slowly kind of pull away and let them kind of just figure things out. Just check on them a little bit less. Don't put as much time and effort into it because no one's going to benefit is the shitty thing to say because you both are going to kind of not win in this situation.
What would you say to a bodybuilder who wants to, get into the sport and compete, but they see all this negative drama and stuff going on? What would you say to them as far as, a positive?
Great question. Position? I would tell them, bodybuilding is about you and your own personal journey and what you want to accomplish. Don't worry about the noise. Don't worry about anything else. If you really want to do this for yourself and you want to improve on who you are and your physique and really see where it's going to go, you just hone in on that. The Instagram and the photos and the negativity and the banter and the trolls and all that crap, just a waste. It's just background noise of people that can't do what you're doing. So settle in and do what you want to do. And that's about it. Because long story short, bodybuilding is an individual sport, an individual journey. There's no team orientation with it. I mean, granted, you'll have help, you'll have support, you'll have coaches, you have people there to help and inspire and be there. You're the one that wakes up every day. You're the one that eats. You're the one that trains. You're the one that's either going to succeed or fail right there on that stage.
So it is a selfish sport, isn't it?
I don't want to say selfish, but it is
a lot of people say that it is.
It's an individual sport. And anybody that's ever done any type of individual sport understands that mentality that it's all about me. It's about, I have to do these things in order to be successful. And that's it. Like, it's not like I'm putting myself above others. It's just that no matter what, I have to get this stuff done. And so it could be looked at when people can't have an open mind about certain things, they can look at it as being a selfish behavior. But I've prepped for years and I don't have a selfish mentality. I just have I have to do these things. And
no,
so
you seem very kind, genuine, and of course, focused.
Thank you. Very, very sweet.
Focused.
I try.
Tell me about your caring video. Can you talk about that? Because I thought that was
sure.
Really
it's one of my foundations of being a great leader is caring. Caring and humility are my two biggest kind of factors for anybody. If you don't have natural charisma, ability to speak in front of others, those are tool sets to be a great leader and a great mentor. But caring and humility are the foundation which will allow people to be inspired by you. Because if you truly care for others and you want them to succeed, then that will resonate through and everyone's going to want to be around you. You're going to be a better presence and people are going to be more inept to want your guidance, want your help, and just have you in their lives in general. But if it's superficial, people eventually read through that. And so like I don't coach people very often, but I've done a little bit. I've mentored a ton. But when it comes to like fitness coaching, I always tell them like, I'm never going to take credit for what you do because you're the one that does it. I just kind of point you in the right direction. I kind of get a little irritated when I see coaches like showcase their athletes and be like, I got them there. And this is partly my victory. I'm like, no, like you help, which is great, but you should take a back seat and get behind them because this is their time, not yours. And they're the ones that are succeeding. And you could do the same thing with another athlete and they could fail. It's just like that specific one worked. Because I always joke that coaches never showcase their failures. They just showcase their greats.
100% correct.
Yeah. I mean, so that's my mentality and take on that. So it's all about just yourself and focusing on that.
I love it. Tell me about the cigar thing. You like cigars?
I do. I wouldn't call myself like aficionado or anything of that nature, but I do enjoy a nice...
You don't get into all the taste and the...
No, I like light blonde cigars. I was a Cohiba man for quite some time. Kind of got off that kick because...
I just got a Cohiba today.
I heard that a little earlier. I felt like they've gotten a little more pricey than they need to be, so I just don't feel like it's worth it to me to spend on.
So so you get the little cigars, you get a Maduro, what do you...
I do a mix. Like sometimes I'll buy the little ones that are on sale just because they're quick 10-15 minute smokes. And then I will buy typically I go to a few different places. Either there's, what is it called? I just blanked on it, but there's a few cigar lounges close to me. Like if I go to like Fox's, I'll just ask them what
I heard about Fox's. Is that really nice?
It is nice.
It is. I was looking at it this morning. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, and I'll just ask them like what's their recommendation for, and I'll tell them I like medium blondes, which is not a female term. It's it's a cigar term, and they just point out, and I just try them, and I don't have like a preferred brand. I just kind of like try them.
Yeah, cool. Well, good for you, because I like, again, your videos. You got your cigar, the tank top on, you're showing off the guns. But anyway, I just wanted to ask because I smoke cigars.
Oh, nice.
So I do Padrones, Cahibas I've done, Romeo and Juliet's, Olivia's. I love My Father, so I recommend a My Father if you haven't had one.
I'll have to do that.
And Gurkhas. Gurkhas are great.
Okay.
And they're not expensive. Padrones.
And I do those every now and again, yeah.
If it's some type of special event, maybe I'll have a cigar. And then sometimes you drink?
No.
Good for you. I can't see what I was just going to say next.
It's okay. I mean, I don't...
Sometimes I have cognac in a cigar.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, on a rare occasion, I'll have a Moscow Mule, but it's not something I do on a regular basis.
That's a foo-foo drink.
Whatever.
That's a foo-foo drink. Moscow Mule in your little specialty glass.
Yes, if they don't have the copper mugs, I will not drink it.
Well, you better not. They've got to have a Moscow
I know.
Mule
I'm very particular about it, yeah.
Tell me about... So you do leadership consulting, right? You do the training... What else do? You do a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, my primary focus and job is, of course, my program chair and my professor work I do for University of Advancing Technology. I'm one of the faces of the university, so I make that a huge thing. And then, then I've gotten into
you wear a suit when you go in. You wear the tank top.
I wear polos and dress pants. I very rarely will put on. I have one jacket that fits me, and I very rarely wear it. When I get sent to events, it's typically just shirt and tie. But as far as that, then also, yes, I have my personal training, like consulting, where I do like diet coaching and things of that nature online. And then I have my physical clients that I have at Roberts, at Farrow's, or Diesel Muscle, that I train them. And then, on occasion.
You do public speaking, too.
I do. I get asked to do public speaking through University of Advancing Technology, and here and there I'll get pulled out to do some interviews, podcasts, and things of that nature. And then I offer my leadership consulting, and I have like a whole module system to go with my book there. I've been wanting to get into corporate training, just haven't had a chance to push really hard, especially with COVID and the shutdowns and everything. But it'll eventually get its way in.
Did COVID affect you at all?
I mean, it was a little inconvenient, but yeah, I mean, the shut-in was kind of crappy. It's a funny story. That's how I kind of got... I've known Robert Farrow for like well over a decade. We knew each other as acquaintances. We had mutual respect for one another. He gave me a home to train out of when all the shutdown happened.
That was very sweet.
Yeah, so I was able to train out of there and I trained there through my prep, and I turned pro there. So I just ingrainedly stuck there. And then him and I have become closer friends over the years.
He's a great guy. He's let me into his gym a few times, and I'm thankful for him. Super sweet. So I want to tell our audience here, if there's anything motivation you want to tell them, give them all your website, your social media, so we can contact you, work with you. If anybody out there wants to work with Dr. Mark Smith, the shark.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're very inspiring. I really admire you, and I'm so happy you came on my show. I was kind of, is he going to go on? I know you're very busy with everything.
Oh, you're very sweet. No, it's happy to be here.
You want to give us...
Oh, sure. Yes. If you want to reach me, you can go to my website, www.drmarktheshark.com, or you can find me on Instagram, which is, my tag is Dr_Mark_the_shark. Yeah. So not too hard to find me if you're looking to.
Is there anybody you want to thank out there, too?
I want to thank Diesel Muscle, Robert Farrell, for giving me a home and helping me train through my pandemic processes. All my family and friends, my girlfriend Renee, Marvin, who's been a very wonderful support these past few months. And definitely my daughter, who is probably one of my biggest supporters.
Biggest fans.
And biggest fan, supporter, and one of my motivations.
So that, real quick, so with relationships, don't you think sometimes it's difficult when you're bodybuilding with a relationship?
If they don't have if the person doesn't understand what you're going through, it's tough for them. You can't explain it to them. Like having a counterpart that actually has dieted, trained, and done it. My girlfriend now, Renee, she is an IFBB female bodybuilder pro. And so
this isn't Hershey. No, that's not Hershey. Hershey? Renee.
Marvin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's an IFBB professional bodybuilder.
Great.
A female bodybuilder. So she understands the mindset, the mentality, and she's a great support system.
Okay, so here's a plan. Ready?
Sure.
Indie Pro, bring her and you competing at the same show.
I don't know if she'd want to do that, but I can float the idea.
I think that'd be great.
Well, she hasn't competed in quite some time, but
Get her. Come on, make a comeback. Anyway, thank you so much, Dr. Mark, the Shark Smith, for being on the Fit Rockstar Show. We appreciate you. All right, guys, till next time, Fit Rockstar is out.